Hello, it's Spore Guy 64 here, and I'm starting a new series, or well, I'm starting my first series, you know. And yep, so we're gonna watch this lovely rocket launch here, and I will explain to you what exactly is happening. So, this series is based on the premise that that at some point in the Kerbal universe, what's gonna happen is there's going to be a massive asteroid is going to be heading for the planet. Now I know what you say. I know what you're saying. Okay, well why can't we divert it? Okay, we can't divert it because it's too big. I'm talking planet-sized. I'm talking the size of. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not Mars. Maybe half the size of. Well, Duna. Half the size of Duna. Maybe that big. Okay, that big. And they never spotted it before because they thought it was a smudge on the camera lens. So they haven't spotted it. And it's heading straight for Kerbin. Straight for Kerbin. They're not entirely sure if it's going to hit Kerbin, but if it does, that's the end of all Kerbal life as we know it, or as they know it. So, the Kerbals have come up with an incredible plan, right? They've been scouting the Joule system, and they have found that Laythe has an oxygen atmosphere, and it has a good temperature. It's good temperature. It's just above freezing. It's cold enough, but it's still habitable. And of course, it's located in the lovely scenic Julian system. Always a good spot for tours. Anyway, so that is what we'll be doing. We're going to be building a big like Kerbal shuttle thing to bring Kerbals to Laythe, and we're going to make a big colony in Laythe. And we're going to have this big fuel depot is what I'm launching right now, is the core of the fuel depot. I'm going to attach more fuel tanks, you'll see that later. And yeah, so there goes the stages on that. So that's basically what we're doing. We're going to Laythe because the Kerbals don't, I think I said this, the Kerbals don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. They want to have multiple colonies, well at least one more colony, just on the off chance this killer asteroid hits. Now bear in mind that it might not hit, but still, it's a very good idea to have a separate colony. They might even get around to making one on Duna. I suppose they'll see about that. But, you know, for now, they'll start with Laythe, because Laythe is quite a good place to have a colony. You know, because you can see Joule, oxygen atmosphere, jet engines, you know, it'll be cool, I promise. It will be cool. But, so what we're launching, I already said this, didn't I? I keep repeating the same things what I'm saying. Anyway, so yeah, launching the fuel depot here. And I'm quite proud of this. It took me a bit to make. I had to design it as well so that, you see, once the fuel tankers actually, you know, the big fuel tanks actually go on it, they'll be docked to it later. What'll happen is they're kind of loose, you know, like, cause oh yeah, I must mention, I'm not using any mods in this, okay? That's the rule. That's one of the rules. It's pure stock, just stock, no mods. Although I might use the docking alignment cam or Kerbal alarm clock just because they're so handy. Now I can dock on my own. I actually do a good few dockings in this without the docking cam. Okay, I do one with the docking cam, but leave me alone. Anyway, so yes, we'll be building this gigantic, huge station. Well, not that big, but quite big, and it'll be amazing. I promise. And yeah. So we'll keep launching this, of course, because that's what we're doing right now. And it'll be brilliant. So yeah, 4 fuel tanks are going on this. It's kind of difficult to show you exactly where they're going, but you'll see where they're going, because that's in this episode. So this is episode 1 of, I actually haven't thought of a name for it, but there will be a name when this goes up, because I'm gonna make a lovely thumbnail. And yeah, so you'll probably have seen that already. But yep, this is gonna be. I'm very excited for this series because I've never really gone to Laythe very much, and it's always a new challenge. Whenever I went to Joule, I usually just went on the smaller moons with a small rocket. But I'm kind of excited to be going to Laythe because, you know, it's a place. Yeah, again, it's a place I don't have much history with because I always found it difficult to take off from. Because, you know, when you ever send stuff to Joule, it's always a small probe or something, and you can send it flying around the moons, and it's great fun. So yeah, so we'll see what happens here. Yep, flipping this thing around. So definitely, it's going to be great. No mods, nothing, except maybe a couple of mods, but you know, not much. So yes, yes. It's going to be brilliant, incredible. Do I have any other words? No. Who needs words? I don't, because it's so amazing. It doesn't need any words. Yeah, basically yes. That's what I'm saying. Okay, doesn't need any words at all. Nope, no words. So, in order to mix things up a little bit, because, you know, it kind of be boring to have space launch after space launch, I have built a space plane. Um, which, as I might have said in my asteroid video, it actually flies. It doesn't fly as well as the asteroid. I kind of miss the asteroid, to be honest. That was a very good plane, that asteroid. But there was a lot of testing this required. Oh yeah, I should probably say what we're doing. We are launching a space telescope to look out for the big asteroid that may or may not be approaching, because we're not exactly sure where it is. So we need a space telescope. So I'm gonna call this space telescope the Werner Space Telescope, after Werner von Karman, and you know, not the YouTuber, but you know, the character in the game, Werner von Karman. You know, he's in the tutorials. Anyway, so what I have here is I put a docking port on it, or well, let's go into the cockpit for a bit, then I'll explain it more. Oh, Werner von Karman is based off of a real-life scientist called Werner von Braun, who was an ex-Nazi scientist, I think, and he was transferred to the U.S. after the U.S. defeated Germany, so he was transferred there. He was one of those scientists that was useful, so he was transferred. And yeah, he helps in the development of the Saturn V, you know, the rocket that brought men to the moon. And he helps in the development of lots and lots of rockets, so he was quite an important, pivotal figure, Werner von Braun. And that's who Werner von Karman is loosely based off, just the name, I think. Because he didn't wear glasses and he didn't have a mustache. He was clean shaven. Anyway. So yeah, here I built a space telescope, and it's not a real space telescope, but it's got the intake there, which looks like a camera, so I'm using that. And I put a little Science Junior on it because I don't know, I just I wanted to put gadgets and stuff on it, and I have a docking port there. You know, an inline one, because I never use those. I don't know, has anyone else ever used them? But I honestly don't. I don't know what it is. I just think they're a bit, you know, okay, they're not useless. It's just that I don't tend to use them very often, because yeah, I don't launch very much space planes. I'm only launching a space plane here just to mix it up a little bit, because I want to try and not do a ton of launches in the one day. You know. So, well, we will be doing a lot more launches, but yep. So, just to assemble the fuel depot, we might launch a probe to the Joule system to check it out then, just to make sure Laythe is worthy of. Yep, flipped out there. And it may have flew up well, but it didn't fly down well, unfortunately, as you will see, because I am an awful spaceplane pilot. I think maybe it's just my space planes, but I'm an awful spaceplane pilot. I'm a good asteroid pilot. You can give me that. I'm a decent asteroid pilot, but not a very good space pilot. Space plane pilot, excuse me. But so yeah, we're going for an orbit, because I had absolutely no idea at the time what orbit I'd exactly be going for. I was just happy to get this thing into orbit after so many failed attempts. I might post all those. Yeah, here it goes. There goes the space telescope. And there goes the lovely solar panels and stuff. I like the space telescope, it looks really cool looking, nifty. So yeah, we're using the RCS to burn into orbit. A very sort of vague burn, just to get it above the atmosphere so that I can leave it there. Yep, so here it is. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it lovely? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, poor guy. It is lovely. So there we go. And here we go back to the plane. Now, I've kept this in 1x speed. I had my mic turned off when I was recording the live narration, so I'm sorry about that. But you would have heard me just panicking anyway. Although maybe you like to hear me panicking. If you do, let me know, and I'll be sure to put in more commentary, more live narration of me panicking, because I do that a lot. So we're bringing the space plane down. Yeah, the downward doesn't go very well, because it's not a very well-built space plane, as you can tell. I'm not the best at building them. I can build rockets pretty good. I'm pretty decent at building rockets, but space planes, they just elude me completely. I've never really built a successful one. Well, I've built planes that can fly fairly well, but I've never built an SSTO. You know, that can go into orbit. And here we go. Here we go. This is where it starts happening. Yep, yep. There we go. There it is. There it is. Yep. Totally lost control. No way we can get control back. So a couple of mistakes I made in this one. One, you will notice that there's no tailplane in the middle. Two, you will notice that I have no yaw control because I forgot to add yaw control. There you go. That's how bad I am at building these things. I forgot. I actually forgot to add yaw control, which is pretty silly. So yeah, here it is, tumbling out of control. Tumbling out of control. Completely. Oh, and I time accelerated. I think it was maybe me using the time acceleration in atmosphere that probably caused this, because I'm struggling to get it under control here. And there was a point where it was spinning around, and yeah, at least the engines still work. Those Rapier engines are absolutely brilliant. Always use those if you're making a space plane. Before we had to have, rocket engines and jet engines, and you have to switch between them, and it was just extra weight. But yeah, these Rapier engines are really good. They're really good now. But yeah, here it is flipping out, and Jeb is still happy, although he's getting a bit worried. I think he's getting a bit worried. That's usually a bad sign when Jeb is getting worried. You know you're gone when Jeb is getting worried. Yeah, here we go. This is the part where I pressed the same key, the same direction that was spinning it around, and here we go into the landscape, and oh god, there it goes. But it did sort of survive. See that purple thing? I'm gonna switch to, yeah. The cockpit is on that, so if that had survived, Jeb would have survived. But as you probably know, nope, it didn't survive. Which, in fairness, sucks. And here we are at the Werner Space Telescope that I have just launched. I call it successful, but we did lose Jebediah. We'll have to resurrect one of his clones later. But yep, here it is. And isn't it beautiful? Yes, very proud of this altogether. Looks good in space going over the poles. We have everything here. So brilliant. I'm glad it's here. And here we are at another space launch. Yes, another space launch. And I'm aware how stupid this rocket looks. Please forgive me. I'm very lazy, and I just sort of slapped tanks onto this thing and launched it. So this is what we're launching now, is the first the first of the 4 huge fuel tanks that I'm going to strap onto this fuel depot before it heads off to Joule. Well, I must strap engines to it, of course, but this is the first of a couple of fuel depots that I'm gonna... Four. This is the first 4 big tanks. There it is. There's the big tank. There's no fuel being drained from that tank. As far as I know, all those tanks launched and docked, and they all had full fuel in them. Unless I forgot something. I probably did, because I'm good at that. I'm good at forgetting things. That's my thing. I forget things very often. But yeah, later on in this design I replaced those skipper engines with mainsail engines, because you can see how slow it is. It's very slow. Also, I wanted to leave no debris around Kerbin, because we don't want Kessler syndrome this early in. I mean, we don't have any spacecraft yet. And I wanted to remain kind of, playable, because I had a world once where Kerbin had almost its own bloody ring system from the amount of debris in there. So it was getting ridiculous, like. But yeah, I'm gonna try and not do that here. So we're gonna be rendezvousing with the fuel depot here and docking, which shouldn't be too difficult. But these engines are very weak. Well, they're not. They're good. They've good ISP and they're good, but they're just not good here. So yeah, got a decent encounter, spinning around, all in 4 times speed, of course, because I I assumed you didn't really want to sit through another launch. The first launch was at normal speed because I was talking about the project, which I have decided to name Journey to the Stars, which is only temporary. If you can think of a better name, please put it in the comments. Please do. Or if you can think of a really good name for the fuel depot, or the shuttle that I'm going to bring Kerbal's. Oh, I suppose we have to build it first to name it, but a different name for the series because I'm not a big fan of Journey to the Stars, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully we can think of a better name for that. But right, so we're docking now. I don't remember if I docked this during the night. I don't think I did. Yeah, I had to use yeah, I did use a lot of the RCS in this one. The later ones, however, you'll see them. I edited in just the docking bits of the other ones, but I ended up going to the day side so you'd be able to see what's going on. And normally it's not a good idea to hang around till day because you're just wasting time, you know. I only hung around till day here so that you'd be able to see what's happening. Because and so I'd be able to see what's happening, but mostly so you could, because I could probably do this in the dark. Probably. Not that I'm scared of the dark. Anyway, so yes, bringing these around. Now I know you can see the docking alignment indicator there in the bottom left. I've kind of decided not to use it if I can possibly avoid using it, but occasionally I do use it for ridiculous things. Like here, this one. This is the next one docking, if you can see it at all, because the sun is in a really awkward place. Now, I think this one turned out okay. I think I might have hit this fuel depot a bit. But I added engines to the bottom, a tiny poodle engine there, with a probe core on it so I could drive it away. So we'll undock that, yep. So the next docking here is going on. So yes, there's this one and then there's another one. It all went off fairly well. Quite a lot of fuel going up here. Well, I think it's a lot of fuel. I'm sure there could be more fuel going up, but we're only going to have a couple of engines on this anyway. Yeah, there we go, another one. All four are here. Yes, it looks brilliant. Now I did notice something while I was building that, is that it was really unstable. Like those tanks had no no struts or anything, obviously, because they were docked. So what I did was I pulled the thing up in the editor, and I built 4 replica fuel tanks to see what I could do to stabilize them. And so this is what I ended up doing. This is just 4 times or 2 times speed of me trying to figure out how to stabilize them. So this was one of the ways I came up with, was basically to have this and then have one of those, multi-ports in the middle, but it wouldn't attach. Yes, this is just a video of me trying to attach this thing in here, because Kerbal is, look, it's attaching, it's clipping in, like it clips in, but then it just doesn't. But yep, I ended up just building it in a different editor and launching it. So here it is. Now this basically uses 4 senior docking ports, so we're gonna have to dock all 4 of them at the same time, which you can get really, if you've ever tried multi-docking before, it can get really difficult. I used to use it. I used to use triple docking with single docking ports for before they had the senior docking port, which I'm glad they added that because it just adds so much strength to your buildings. But yeah, so we're rendezvousing again with the fuel depot, and we're using this thing, which I have attached an engine to again. And I actually saved the launch stage for this. I called it the Theta 5. Why Theta 5? I have no idea. I just like the number Theta. Or letter. Sorry, letter. It's a letter, isn't it? Yes. Well, it could be a number. I don't know. It's kind of both. No, wait. I have no idea. Ask a mathematician, ask an astrophysicist. I am neither. I am a student, so I would not know. Okay. Yeah, I just dug my own grave there. Anyway. So, we're moving towards the depot. Bit dark, unfortunately, but what exactly is happening is each docking port is going to dock to a docking port on the depot in order to like keep the fuel tank stable, because they're wobbling around the place. They're just making a fuss, so we need to keep them straight and make sure they don't wobble around, because if we're moving along in space and they're moving around the place, we don't want that. See, you can see them wobbling there. It's not good. It's just not good. You don't want wobbles in your spacecraft. So yeah, we're getting this lined up for docking. I did use the docking alignment indicator here because it was necessary. So yeah, you have to be very lucky here. Sometimes when you undock them, other ones come undocked, and You have to get them all docked at the exact same time. It's a bit of a pain, to be perfectly honest. But yep, we're just trying to move this around to see if I can fit it in and see if it actually works. So I've decided to undock all of them and then try and redock them. Or yeah, try and dock them again. So we'll go down. Quite a finicky process, as you can probably imagine, but not one that's without merit, because this is going to be very good. And dock, yes, it docked. And that concludes the first episode. I hope you liked it. Let me know everything in the comments. And yep, I'm Sporguy64. Bye.